All right, welcome back to Soul Spark Tarot. I'm your host, Mr. Anu, and today we got ourselves a little daily message and a nice little yap session. So, if you don't want to hit the yap, just go ahead and skip ahead. With that being said, yo, what's up? What's up? How we doing? I hope we chilling. Hope you doing great. And I hope you feeling blessed. So, a little bit about feeling like you're in your power. That's what I want to talk about today. So yesterday, we was all in our power. Feeling like we're in our power. Feeling powerful, knowing that we're in our power. And I don't know, I had some great things happen to me. So it made me feel like being in my power was a powerful thing to be. So I want y'all to try to appreciate that today. Think about it and try it and think about it and try it. Just a whole day of trial and error. Whatever day you listening to this message on, just treat this day like a trial and error period and learning phase. What it feels like to be completely in your power. And it's parts of you that's going to not want to feel powerful. And your goal is to try to just be powerful. And you're going to quickly understand that you can't just force a motherfucking part of you to try to not be sad sometimes, or not feel energized, or not feel tired. But it's a whole lot of knots. So if you understand how to neutralize yourself, excuse me. Excuse me. If you don't understand how to neutralize yourself, then you wouldn't be able to understand how to apply yourself in a manner that will allow you to reconcile with your own cognitive dissonance and distortions. You have both of these things inside of you, this mind, this body, and these are real bodies. You got to treat them like they're people. And once you treat them like they're people, you'll start to see how you're treating yourself as a person. Again, the as a person is you as a person somewhere else in the larger community. You're your own unit. You're one out of one. You're just you. So we have to understand, how do I tap into the different versions of myself, because we can get to you in a lot of different ways. And getting to you is the version that we're referring to. Sometimes things get to you, sometimes things don't. You're a different person from scenario to scenario. If nothing is getting to you, nothing is bothering you, you're living your life as you feel powerful, in control, or accepting. But if something is getting to you, you might not be chilling just doing your own thing. You might be, yelling at somebody or something. You might be running away sad. Might be partying, too happy in a negative situation. It is important to understand both. The fact that you can. But knowing these things is the first step into being powerful. You have to know stuff to be powerful about stuff. You gotta know this kind of martial art in order to be powerful in that martial art. Doesn't matter if you're the most powerful. What we're saying is there's always a version of you at any stage of anything you do. And as soon as you're born or you're birthed, everything else after that will be better. And I don't mean better in the sense of it's just better in one way. You gotta understand these are totalities. Right now, these are larger spectrums because you are, as a being, have been born into a larger area or space. You gotta understand that. That is the change. That's you trying something new. If it's brand new and you're not talented, everything looks huge. It looks daunting. It's hard. But if you're starting something brand new and it's really, really easy and you have a talent for it, two different things, oh man, it's crazy because at that point, it's so small, a little kid could do it. And if you're a little kid doing it, a lot of adults might be shocked. So those are two drastically different beings that you have within you. And it's just you, but it's the perception of yourself which creates a new body, you can say. And it's this energy is being housed in some kind of body, again, some figure, it was what we say in maths. And in this figure, you have certain behaviors and influences and impressions. So it's inside of you, so it's going to be interacting with a part of you or a part of an exchange within you. So like if you touching something and it's hot to you, and then if somebody else touching it and it's not hot to them, I'm thinking, you know, mama who cooks and who put her hand in the grease kind of thing versus everybody else looking at her like, what in the hell? Like, what is going on? How in the world are you doing that? The fork is hot to me kind of thing, you know? And so it's cool to understand the differences just because of the simple fact that we have to allow ourselves to accept ourselves. And the more we accept ourselves as ourselves, we can see that everybody else is fractal too. They're all broken down into little pieces, and they're all being built up by little pieces. It's Legos. We call them cells, but I mean, the idea is whatever you believe, you know that there's smaller parts of you, and then there's bigger parts of you. You know that you was once a little baby and now you're a bigger adult. You've grown, you've changed. You've done a lot of things that help you show yourself you're actually still the same. But who are you during these time frames of change? Because you have changed. So you can't be the same. These are the emotional bodies that I'm referring to, these figures. These figures are based upon your travels through space. As you travel through space and then you influence yourself with the time, again, influence yourself, meaning you can manipulate the time in that space, called a memory. Now you can remember certain things like details, emotions, points of views, and then you can even remember time frames. And then because it's your own version of that time frame, it's the truest amount of time that we can understand individually, but it's a more difficult time to express outside of you. Doing these things on a time basis is important because we have to understand the spaces that are associated with those time. And in those spaces is where we find that figure, and then we can decide which part of that situation was divine. And the idea to learn is that all of it was good because I'm here. And that is not here. So because I'm here, I got to understand that there's probably parts of that situation that's allowing me to maybe be stuck when I'm not there. Again, it's like influencing me. That's the idea of temporal influence upon a space. And now that body has some kind of impact. Now, we know it's not going to be a physical impact, but there is a physical impact. We just can't see it at this point. It just hasn't revealed itself because we don't know if you're being triggered by a specific stimuli. We don't know if it was the words, if it was the memory, if it was the thought of something inside of the memory. Maybe it was a feeling that you had over a time frame or a life situations. It depends heavily on how. So how do you get to the you? Which route did you take? Because we want to know if you get into me or not. We have to really start to try to understand That the differences that we're building, the differences that we're seeing, the differences that we're living with are the same ones that we're choosing not to. We can find other differences that will reconcile those things together. The neutralization. You can neutralize your own self. And so, excuse me, as we neutralize ourselves, we got to really appreciate the fact that we can see more of ourselves when we try to see more of others. So, don't just run to react today. I want you to stand in your power. Be okay. Know that you can hold your breath for 10 seconds. Know that you can change your life with a thought. But that thought only changes the life of that moment you thought it. So you got to keep thinking it. You got to keep having the moments stack up together. Once all the moments come together, then you can get to the full picture and you can say, oh, I have this. But that's the whole picture. And what do you envision? What do you desire? What do you want? What are you learning? That is how you're moving through these spaces. And you're influencing yourself upon these memorable bodies. Damn. And of these bodies that you're remembering, it's allowing you to really tap into a version of yourself. And the more you concentrate or meditate on those versions of yourself and let them be, again, you're just, you know, you're just, overseeing. That's it. You're just observing. You can't do anything anyway. So, not to everybody. So, you got to understand that you can only influence a part of the space with some time. Everybody else is still on their own time from doing their own thing until you just step back and observe. And the more you step back, the more you can see, interact, and change. But each zoom in and zoom out has its own energetic signature, its own world, it's its own reality, it's its own body. So we must start to appreciate those as actual figures who can influence us because they can. But the whole point is that we are feeling powerful, knowing that I just explained all of those complex things that's happening in you. But you still, again, been feeling powerful. So the idea is, how do I extend this feeling? How do I know and give details so I can go back and remember this feeling? How do I get back to this space that can reinforce a different space? Again, reinforce by influencing it through time. The time you take with a sensation, with a feeling, with a detail, with all the aspects of a memory, it focuses you upon that entire figure. So now you can get an influence. Again, same thing we do on the negative side, but it's a little bit less clear when you're doing it on the positive side. And so as I'm bringing this to you, I'm helping you understand the changes that you're actually going through are influences by the changes that you choose to entertain. And the changes you choose to entertain must be entertained constantly. Imagine being a jester or a fool, or the funny person, class clown. Imagine you being that as the entertainer to the king, to the teacher, to the chief. These things are important because we are entertaining what? We got to keep that in our mind. And again, this is why awareness of how you are applying this information is important, because you can unlock more aspects of influence from yourself for yourself. You just got to know how to treat yourself, talk to yourself. So this is the point. Once you can see yourself in different forms, and then you can see yourself doing stuff, you can change what you see as why you're doing it for. So you don't have to be a jester for the king. You can be a jester for your baby. And now your baby is the king. So you don't feel fear or any substitute to that king anymore, or the idea of the king. Why? Because it's your baby, and you love your baby, and you got stronger feelings, stronger details about your child than what you do with the king. And so now you're superimposing a new word upon new feelings. The feelings for the baby has now been associated with the word king. And I say king again because that's a masculine wants to be entertained. But the exotic dancers, that's an example of the gesturing. Sports, that's an example of the gesturing. Again, we're entertaining you. And a lot of dudes like these types of entertainments. Whereas the masculine or the feminine side, they would get entertained in different ways. They're more exploratory within the actions of their own self, aka they be overthinking, over emoting, all of the things that a man would say, right? But in reality, they're just diving deeper into these realms, just like you would dive deeper into the realms of sports and other entertainments. Proliferations. The feminine principle of tapping in is going to be difficult for males and masculine people because of exactly what I said. They need some justification on the outside to stimulate that feeling outside to inside, and then they can have a reactionary exchange. On the flip side, people can produce that exchange internally and then have it proliferate externally, but between them both, you lose something. Like if you produce it on the inside, you lose complete control of where it exits on the outside. Same thing on the flip side. If you're being stimulated externally, you really don't know where that stimuli is going to come from, but then you know how to internalize and how you will react and respond because you're interacting with it on a different point of time and space inside of you now. But again, because it was an outside to inside thing, and because it was an inside to outside thing over here, we have to see that we got to participate in both. It's the absolute value. So this is Algebra 2. Algebra 2 says there's absolute functions. And these absolute functions can change and transform into different spaces, but it's always 2 going into a V. So it was just like me extending my arms like I'm doing right now. And again, it just shows you that no matter which way you're functioning, whether you got inside out or outside in, however you're functioning, what you're doing is you're showing yourself that it's absolutely you. And that's what you got to do. And that's how you can start to polarize some of the different feelings that you have inside of you into a feeling that you want to have inside of you. Now you feel powerful just being able to do it, but now you feel grateful and all the other happy things, the relaxing rewards, because you are now in a better spot. So you get double the benefit when you're able to shift yourself and then see the shift that you made happen. And that is where you start to build a new memory and you start to create new details that you can always refer back to and continue that cycle. Again, this is just us building a habit. We're building a habit. But the habit comes from the mind being able to be trained and then teamed up with. It's not always bad, even if it starts off that way. This is the same thing when you work out. Again, it's not always bad, even though it's starting off bad. It hurts. But then you go off and you work out and you keep working out. And guess what? It doesn't hurt. And then you seek ways to make it hurt more. It's crazy. So the fact that it does do all of those 3 different things, it should show you how these progressions are always happening all the time everywhere, which means in order to feel more powerful, you can change the progressive rate of something inside of you or around you. This is the idea of just smiling. If you just smile at somebody, you're progressing the day in a different way. So you're influencing that entire space. And so anybody who sees you smile, you're going to influence them in a certain way. And if the energy of the space is more conducive into the receiving the smile, you'll get more smiles at a higher rate without resistance, and versus you're getting lower rates of resistance. That is the idea behind influencing spaces. And so we can start by influencing spaces into our mind. As we're influencing spaces within our mind, we're allowing energies to shift. It's like the wind blowing. Sword cards. And that's it. So, feel powerful by understanding that you can manipulate your own self, your own mind through the memories that you sit on. And as you sit on these things, and then you choose to use the paintbrush of life to paint new emotions, new thoughts, new pictures, new faces, new colors, new details, new everything, because you can do that inside your mind. You can imagine that. And then if you can imagine that, then you can observe it. There's some kind of way for you to get in and see these details. And you got to get into the habit of finding out the details. And those details, again, come in all forms that you can imagine, but it's your details. So you shouldn't just treat them like they're just yours. Treat it like it's not yours. And then treat it like it's somebody else's. And then change who that somebody else and not give a damn about that person and see how you treat it. And then give it to a person you care so much about and see how you treat it. You can manipulate this one little thing called details. And that is how you paint your life. And as you manipulate and go through and you be the butler to everything, you have to find a reason to want to be that butler for that thing. And that is how you start to build better relationships with yourself. And when you have that better relationship with yourself, it doesn't matter what you see outside of yourself. The inside version of you knows how to project what they want to see. And then the inside version of you knows how to receive the new stimuli. Doesn't matter where it come from. It doesn't matter where it go. You know who you are at the core. And that is the aspect of where we're leading towards, and that's the powerful side. And who you are at any point of these stages, what makes you feel powerful is the fact that you know that you can do something. I can do something about it. You don't feel helpless. You don't feel hopeless. You can do something about it. All right. Let's get started on the reading. I feel like I was a long yap, but I hope you're feeling powerful nonetheless. All right, 2 more. Yep. All right. So overall message. Okay. Not knowing what to do as the right thing for you and it's got you stuck. Not knowing how to give the right emotion. Not knowing how to understand the changes that you have going on around you. Not understanding how to work through the things that you have put on status. The things that you deem higher than yourself. Not knowing how to put love on there. Again, the Queen of Cups is the stingy emotions card. She's the only one who has a cap on her cup. Stingy. She don't care. I'ma feel this way. This can be a very, very, very cold, spiteful woman. Again, the reason why is because she's protecting that cup. So just don't think of it as dark as I just said. Let's find power in that. Oh, this is a mama bear. Boom. And now every fucking body understands. And again, some of us still don't. But the idea is a lot more people now understand when I just said those things. And most of us was like, oh, wow, how could he say that? That's so nasty. That's so negative. It's so dark. Oh, but then when I say mama bear, same behaviors. But now we understand it from a different perspective, and that's allowing us to release and stop the resistance and the blockages between us initially hearing the influence and then giving it time to develop and change, just like babies develop and change, and people develop and change, and animals develop and change. As we develop and change, we say, oh, well, we changed the point of view. It's just a mama bear. Oh, take that further. Supportive parent. Oh, a lot more people now felt the release. Oh, just a supportive parent. That's why they're just protecting their family. You know, we can make those resistant energies dissipate or not have influence by creating new influences on top. The Queen of Cups, perfect card to come out with that example. I am going to read this this Eight of Pentacles in reverse, so we can get a better understanding of how these things are practical things that you value in the world. These are real life things in the world. And it's again, you're putting status on these real life things in the world. You're giving your power away, I think is what I like to say. And giving away your power is the idea of just submitting yourself to other things. But again, we're trying to show you how you can change that submission. You can still submit, again, because that's the power. Choosing what you want to be vulnerable with. But when you take the mindset and then you subjugate it to something else, like we did with the nasty, evil, manipulative behavior, and then we went to the mama bear behavior, to the supportive parent behavior. Again, the only thing changing is the name, but the behaviors remain the same, but we have less resistance. That's the idea of what I'm trying to say. By knowing more, by learning more, by being able to see more, be mature about the situations, we can let things grow a little bit longer over time because we have more patience, because we understand the dynamic of growth as this person is growing. We've been there, we've seen other people, we've studied it, we blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of information, so we just actually want to sit back and observe. That's, again, power, because you're choosing not to provide influence or your submission to the larger space. I must take a step back. It's a masculine energy, though, but it's taking a step back. So it's opposite. It's recalling into itself versus the simple fact that I'm observing, which is a feminine energy. I'm receiving. So we got to start to see the dynamics polarized across an origin. And the origin comes from a point of space that will allow you to take control and feel powerful. And even if that control it's just work, energy applied. When we see the energy applied in a specific manner, it allows us to take a step into the directional flow that we want. It's called a transformation. As you transform, boom, you create a new original space. But it's still a reference to the old original reference space. But that is the data of observation. We can see ourselves make a change inside of the scenario that we've studied and seen before, even lived through. But because we sidestepped and took a new direction, now it creates a new situation, a new experiment, and now we can observe the influences by not influencing. Again, we can observe the things that allows us to change what we put our focus on instead of being stuck that we can't power through one aspect of this space because we don't have the time or it's not the right time. So let's see what this Eight of Pentacles is meaning. In reverse, it says voided ambition, unethical application of skill. You've been doing something the wrong way because maybe you haven't been seeing it the right way. You've been doing the right things, but maybe you got a viewpoint on it as the wrong way. Being in this hangman position, this is what I've been talking about. Feeling more powerful in the situation that you have and how you can apply these things. It comes from the force that you can carry within yourself that allows for the neutralization and then the projection of an ethical aspect of you. Reconcile between the two. It's you saying, yes, this is the right way. That is what is ethical. So there's something that, again, we need to understand. And again, the emotional cup that is resisting a lot of emotional interaction is here. But below that, we have the full. So it's dealing with the emotions. We got to find different feelings about things that trigger us. And it's not about, it's all about just placing the word that helps you be less resistant. So notice I changed my presentation. I was going to say it one way, and then I changed it up. And I applied it in a sense that would allow us to see the positivity behind just replacing the word to change the resistance, instead of trying to tell you to force a change upon a new word. No, you have to try different words and see how they unlock or lock down the energies. So if you think about a word and it triggers you, you got to see a new word and see if it triggers you more than the previous. And if it does trigger you, find a word that triggers you down now. Okay, brings you back down. So you have to exchange. It's like you're looking for the word that makes the sentence the most correct. That's what it's like. It's like choosing from the word box and then putting it in the right space for the context of the sentence. That's the idea of being without this unethical application. You don't know really how to use the skills that you got. So for me, it's the speaking thing. That's why I'm talking a lot on some of these, and others I'm using the cards more. But the idea is I can really help a lot of people with these words instead of just applying it to like schools and people. Yes, that's a good foundation, and I should never stop that. But talking and recording is helping other people too, who I would never meet. So I like this medium. I'm finding more ethical reasons to do this way, because again, there's a lot of things that I will have to overcome, influences like being an influencer in and of itself. That is the whole problem with, again, what I'm saying to you. That's what makes me in particular feel unpowerful. That is the Hierophant energy for me. Status in the world when doing shit. But that might not be for you. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's your role in the family. Maybe it's your interactions in a relationship. Maybe it's just you in your neighborhood. But the idea is I now know how to take that thing I value and place on the pedestal, and I can reconcile that with something I don't and something new that I want. And this is us transferring information, like going from a fraction to a decimal point to a percentage. Again, there's gaps in between those things, but there is a relationship at not a twofold, because we just been dealing with twos. Now it's threefold. And because I now am the mediator between me right now and the memory that I'm thinking, I can make new details by just being the observer. I'm the judge now. And I can look at the me right now reacting to the memory of the past or the memory of a future's past. And these spaces will have their own emotional influences, whether you're there or not. These figures, you can interact with them, and if you are triggered, the idea is, how can I, again, find a new status? How can I put something else on the pedestal? How can I put myself on the pedestal in that situation by creating less resistance towards the pedestal? Again, evil, what did I say? Evil, non-sharing, cold energy woman versus mama bear versus a supportive parent. just even saying it makes me feel less resistant. It's crazy, I'm telling you. But that's the idea. And then void of ambition. You don't even know what you're working on. You're just working. You're just doing stuff. You don't have a purpose behind it. So, again, this is nice. I like to see this energy come out today, especially because yesterday the energy was you're feeling powerful. Now we're understanding how to feel as powerful as we did the day before. Some of y'all here is not feeling the same way, but it's not about the feeling. It's about the influence of the feeling. Exactly. The influence of the feeling is telling you that you need to understand that you are the guard behind the fog. You don't have to allow these things to come into you. You don't have to be influenced by the thoughts, by the memories, by the details. What you can do, though, is you can work to build new details that influence that space. Go back and be the butler. Go back and be the servicer. Go change that baby's fucking diaper. Go help. That baby can't do it. That's the thing. That's what these are. These emotional bodies over here of the past that are fogging you up right now, making you, work with no passion, no ambition. It's coming because you don't know how to take those two thoughts and bring them together. You don't see yourself as the one holding up two swords, protecting yourself. You see yourself as the one about to give out an attack. You're about to give the truth. But again, it's only because you're cutting down on half of the movie. You don't see the rest of the moon. It's not a part of you, but the moon is still there. The emotions are still there. You have cut out that part of you, but it's still there. That's just being in the same room and turning around and saying you don't exist anymore. No, that person is still there, even though you don't want to talk to them. Ignoring them. Making them feel unseen, unheard. The details. So, this is why we're in this state here. We haven't wanted to view the details of certain things. I saw some details with me last night. And it was just reminding me of me in the past. So, there's the details. And then the detail on top of that was a few different me's. So it was like slightly different versions of myself coming to talk to me like, yo, we are not here no more. However you see these cards, this is literally confirming what I'm saying. This is amazing. We need to make that, what do we call it? The thumbnail, baby. Whoa. Beautiful. Taking a look, the judgment has been called. Your power is here and you're happy for it. Or you can say because you're happy and you're feeling powerful, judgment is being called. Either way, however you choose to manifest, understand that you're using you as the power. It's you as the power. The rod, the sword, the cup, the pentacle, all of that is on the table. It's just stuff. But how your mind is blending both sides into infinity. That's a neutral space, a zero with a twist in there. You are the twist. You're the one creating the balance, the reconciliation. You're the one who is allowing these things to be together, to find commonality, to find contrast. You are the controller, not the objects around you. Control your emotions and let yourself be authentic in this world. Control your emotions. Again, the ego on the dark side. That's the moon. The ego on the sun or in the light is the sun. Both belong to the devil, though. Capricorn, Saturn energy. Time. Chronos. So, stepping out into the world, we got to understand that we got to unravel ourselves. We got to unravel ourselves from the roots of the past, from your foundation. You got to unravel yourself from the traditions of old and establish traditions of new. Again, that is always going to be something that is never going to change because the traditions come through time, unchanging. So looking at these things, we got to change. We got to have methods of change. We got to have ways to demonstrate and show change. But there are always changes happening. So there's times for us where we need to just take a step back and observe the changes happening naturally. Can we get on board with something else? Can I be a different focus of these pentacles and not always have to be this? Can I be this? And absolutely you can. You don't have to be the top or the star of the tree anymore. You can be the root and you're still a star forevermore. Because these are the forevers that will always allow you to remain young. You'll always remain young in the eyes of everything that comes after you. So get your mindset out of being the star of the family now. Get your brain off of that. Get your emotions off of that. You already know you're the star. You're God's chosen. Take your ass down to the bottom, be the roots, putting in that work. You're still God's chosen. Only two pieces, man, that literally start everything else. And guess what? You got two more pieces on the inside of you too. This is that connection of that inner side of you and then that outer side of you. But you got a relationship within yourself. And that relationship has a world around it. And in that world is what you can call yourself. But the idea is this line right here, that's that trunk, that's that spine. That is where everything is erected from. Here's your roots, here's your tree, and here's everything in between. Take the time to change what you're presenting and thinking about in the world. Be this instead of being that. See what happens. See what kind of changes you can influence upon in spaces. Allow yourself to grow before you've grown. Preparation. What's our final message? What's our final message? I ain't even gonna move it. I don't even know where I want to go outside of that. This is the Empress card. Go ahead and birth that new life. The Empress. Just think about that for a sec. When I think about Empress, I think about a feminine energy being given away. But most of us want to think about this as the top power and control. I see a few queens who enact the Empress energy very well because I think a lot of people miss the idea that the Empress, she goes off and gives herself. So there's a lot of makeups, let's say, of the Disney princesses that can show these behaviors. But what the true meaning of the Empress is the king and the magician's infinity sign. She is the one, she is the equal sign, the equalizer. She is, without her, again, there's no emperor. The emperor owns and controls kingdoms and smaller, governments over a long, wide span, let's say. But that empire wouldn't exist if it wasn't progressive. So in order to have that empire, you would need to have it, an empress, a wife. In order to be the king of a kingdom, the king must be progenerated, princes and princesses. So to give away is the idea of the Empress giving away all the fruits, giving away the harvest, giving away towards the emperor, because again, and towards the people, towards the environment externally. It's creating from the inside and sending it to the outside. It has no control, no will of where it goes or how it flows. But the idea is because this is a protected being by the emperor, by the castle, by the city, the town, the kingdom, the neighboring kingdoms, the whole empire. Everybody now appreciates it and protects it. So there's layers of how to get to her. And then if you are getting to her, again, you understand that you're just one of her. It's just one meeting one. And the idea is it doesn't matter how you try to get in there from the outside going in, that Empress is still protected. So this Empress card, as it pops up here, is looking at the full protection of the power that you possess within yourself to keep you in a satisfied, happy Nine of Cups state and to call the correct judgment of your own ethical aspects and the ambitious aspects that you possess in this world and seek to project into this world as you influence time through spaces. So, I feel like I need to get one more on this. Seeing the emperor, or not the emperor, the hermit at the bottom helps me understand that it's all about being able to be knowledgeable of self. And that's your power. That's why you're the king in these creations. It's why you're the giver. And you're the protected. And you're the protector for what you got or received. So, because you're all of these parts, that hermit says that it's all about now explaining how you got to yours. Because we can't get to each other's. We can just influence the space of one another's. So now we can feel safe in just expressing the worlds that we live in without fear of anybody taking mine and breaking it down. It's simple. It's just an influence. And I can let it go. And I can see more. And I can be more and I can feel more. It's amazing how these cards came out. So people might say this is how I interpret this. This is walking away from emotions, right? Walking away from all emotions, with ones that are half truths, ones that are whole truth. Every part about it. Just like we're talking about. If you can walk away towards them, then you can walk towards them. That's what he's doing. And guess what? Your mind is already beating ass. The emotions now is catching up, but the mind is already kicking everybody's ass. That's crazy. Again, the emotions is walking away from emotions to the strategies of the mind. And guess what? The mind is looking at the emotions. So because you walked away, now the mind's competition has to walk away. So again, get rid of the emotions by neutralizing the poison within the cups. Thinking about it like that, you gotta not just try to go to the other side and fix it. Want to take a couple of steps in between because that allows you to see more development, gain more information, get more data. This is the idea of the journey or the process. When you're processing information from step to step to step to step. If you just run and jump, you might end up falling and dying, kind of shit. You should go and take a step, look around, take some steps, look around, and then go back, knowing that you have all your information, and then you make your attempt. Again, it's just about seeing yourself grow, but that is what you're walking towards. Again, you know you can grow anything now. You know you can do it all. You know you can give, and never feel bad about giving. And guess what? You know that's going to be protected because you're walking away from the things that, again, make you feel unprotected and not powerful. But for me, this card here is saying that you do it so well because this is my card of kicking everybody's ass. This is a basketball game, and you won 157-9. Like, crazy. I know. Look, I lapped you 3 times before you finished one lap. That's that energy. It is so good. It's so good, right? Because it's multiple people coming against you, but they didn't know you were really that well informed, that mature, that seasoned, that practice. They didn't know all of those things, which is why they're leaving defeated, dropping their weapons, and you got 3. Again, the idea is you're dropping those 2 of swords that was preventing you from, again, tapping in even to your own self. But now, since you tapped in there and you was like, I don't want this. This is expired. That's that might kill me. That's poisonous. Because you've thrown away all the cups and you walked away, now you're walking to the strategies of the mind of what you already know. You're just now giving yourself a chance to know that. And now you can birth the things that you know. You know where to give now. You know where to be protected. You know the ins and outs because you've been processing and developing and growing. So now you're in a space that will allow you to feel powerful in any place. So I love that for us. Let's go on this new adventure and let's be great as we do our thing, as we be seen by ourselves. All right, people. Peace.